am Jessica Bell from My Wine School, where it is wine your way. And welcome back to those of you who are here with us for WineCAST number 11. And everyone say hello to Karen. Now I'm going to try to do the split screen. I was told in the last WineCAST we have a little bit of echo. Karen just can't talk. So this is perfect. You guys can all say hello to her on the chat roll. So go ahead and say hello again to Karen. Also, you guys, let me know what you think about the new music. I've got some new music. No one mentioned it. I hope you like it. It's a little bit of a bluesy note, but I'm going to take that split screen away. I'm seeing the echo is back. Ay, ay, ay. All right, so if you guys are just joining us and you want to say hello to Karen, this is how you do it. If you're watching live on our homepage, you can sign in, or just not even sign in yet, just write something under audience. It'll take you to this screen. You either sign in or you can sign up if you don't have a username and password. Fill in the 5 fields there and boom, you are a part of the conversation. So today is WineCAST number 12, and this is designed for our wine explorers. And this is perfect for people who love to eat, travel, and learn, or if you're like me, you love to use those things as excuses to drink wine. So that's my game there. But we'll also be using a little bit of a more advanced terminology here in our Wine Explorers. So if you get a little lost, go back and check out WineCAST number 8 so that you know exactly what we're talking about. We're all speaking the same language. And this week on our Wine Explorer, we are going to be doing the new Spain. Now, what the heck is that? What's the old Spain? What's the new Spain? Don't worry, I'll let you guys know. But we're going to be having a wine from Telmo, and it's called Dehesa Gago, and it's from the Toro region in Spain from 2010 or 2010, as though you couldn't figure that out. So in WineCAST 11, we got a little nostalgic, and if you're just joining us, so you know, Karen and I both lived in Spain together, so we have a special place in our heart for Spain. And I worked at a winery. Karen ran her own restaurant for a good number of years in Madrid, Spain, and we really miss Spain. And I'm going to keep you off camera just so we don't get the echo, but I want to know what you miss the most about Spain, and I'll go first, so I know I'm putting you on the spot. So I think what I miss the most about Spain is how time goes by in Spain. It just kind of like floats by there. And whereas in America, I feel like it just like marches by, or no, that wasn't very good. Okay, let me give you a new one. Hold on. I got another one. I got a good one. No, I like it that, I miss that a vegetarian dish has ham in it. And I was a vegetarian when I first went to Spain, and I'd be like, no, really, I don't eat meat. And they're like, oh, okay, here's a plate of ham. And I soon realized that ham isn't meat. It's just another food group in Spain. So that's probably what I miss most. Now I am not a vegetarian. Furthest thing from it. So how about you? What do you miss most about Spain?
Well, I miss the way people live there. They really work to live, not live to work. And they really appreciate all the small things in life. But most of all, I miss the delicious food and wine and the traditions that go along with that food and wine.
Yeah, it's a totally just endearing and lovely way to live their life. Is they work to live, right? So and if you're thinking, wow, that sounds really nice, well, you can come along with me. I'm going in June of 2012. You can go onto our website on the travel tab at the top and check it out. It's an amazing trip, I promise you. It's top of the line. So I hope to see you with me in Spain in June of 2012. But let's get into what we do best here, which is drink wine. Enough of this reminiscing, and talk about this wine that we've got here tonight. Again, we've got a really good-looking label. These are really some fun labels, really easy to read. You'd see it on the shelf and be like, I kind of want to know what's going on in that bottle. And it's really smart marketing. And it's, like I said, it's similar to what we saw in WineCAST 11 with that really easy-to-read wine label. It's shifting away from that old-world, difficult-to-read label. Very clean and simple. And then even at the bottom, you're kind of like, what's going on down there? Well, if you close up, what you get is actually in Spanish the description of what the Añada 2010 or the vintage 2010 was like. So I'll let you guys work on your Spanish reading skills some other time. We're going to get into some other things about this wine. But just like the other one that we saw, we're going to see the same trick they do, because the same trick that we saw in WineCAST 11. If you look at this wine label, Okay, there is no producer or winery listed on here. There's no region. There's no grape. All you have is the name of the wine and the vintage. Now, legally, you can't get away with that. So what do? They actually make the back of the wine bottle technically the front label. But at the end of the day, when someone takes it out of the box and says, ooh, which label is going in front, they're going to put this label as the front. But what do they submit probably to the U.S. government or even to the Spanish government is going to be this label. So here's where we see a lot of things that we look for. And so I'm going to test you guys. Whoever was present in my class in the Wine Newbie WineCAST number 11, you guys are on the spot here. I want you guys to take a look at this label and see if you can figure this label out. I'm going to give you a head start. And at the top, what we've got is, now we see the name of the producer. There it is. Compañía de Vinos Telmo Rodriguez. So this Telmo Rodriguez is a winemaker, and his specialty is making wine all over Spain. So he picks some really amazing vineyards, and then he makes wine all over Spain. Just below that is the name of the wine that Telmo Rodriguez makes with his company. And under that, you're going to see Vintage 2010. Now, I want you guys to tell me, where does this wine come from? All right? I want you guys to type in where this wine comes from. And remember, what you look for are those keywords, that was a horrible Spanish, denominación de origen, and then it's usually the smallest font, and just before that, so this label follows my rules, it's just before that you're going to find the region. So I see some people mentioning Toro, so good job, guys. So there it is. There's our Toro. And what you look for is the Denominación de Origen, and then we have Toro just before that. Now, as you remember from WineCAST 11, or as a review from WineCAST 11, you always have a seal on the back. So let's take a look at this seal. There it is. We've got Toro is our region, and just under that we have our Denominación de Origen. So that really important phrase that we look for on the backs or fronts, depending on where you're finding your wine, labels to find out where this wine is from. So here we go. Someone doesn't have the seal. Well, you have contraband. Who's selling that to you, that contraband? It probably fell off, probably is what happened. But let's go into Wine IQ number 1. And usually I give you the answers to the wine interactive questions. But tonight I'm going to push you guys. I haven't talked about this yet. So you guys take a guess. How long has Spain been producing wine in Spain? Okay, they've been trading Spanish wine for a long time, but how long have they actually been producing wine within the Spanish borders? So A, 3,000 years, B, 2,000 years, C, 1,000 years, or D, 500 years. Now, don't be shy, right? I don't expect you guys to know this type of trivia off the top of your head, but give it a go. See what you guys think. And if you're shy, take a sip, and if you don't listen to me, listen to my mom. My mom says drink, all right? And you don't want to mess with her. So what are we seeing? I'm seeing C, D, C, A, C. Okay, so a lot of people are saying C, which is 1,000 years. I'm gonna throw you guys a curveball. It's actually 3,000 years. Isn't that crazy? John Laborde, you hit the nail on the head. I thought by putting it first, I'd kind of throw you guys off, but John, you got it. So it's 3,000 years. That's a long time. So when I talk about New Spain, it could technically be wine from 500 years ago, right? 3,000 years, 500 is new after making wine for 2,500 years. But I'm going to tell you what my definition of New Spain is. Because everyone can have their own definition, but what my definition of the New Spain is this. I think that it's a current trend or a movement that is creating and embracing new ideas and it's making very interesting wine. Those new ideas are leading to really interesting wines. And so there are 3 things that I think are a part of this movement. And the first thing is rehabilitated regions. So it sounds like, oh, that sounds kind of strange, rehabilitated. Well, let me tell you, Spain is the country with the most land under vine in the world. That means trying to find a new region in Spain is like trying to find undiscovered real estate in New York or something. I mean, it just doesn't exist. Everywhere you look in Spain, you see vineyards. And so what's happening is people are going back to historically important places like Bierzo was historically a very important winemaking region, and they're rehabilitating the regions by taking away inferior grape varietals, or taking away the bad vines, or they're planting them differently, or they're just even saying, oh my goodness, we've got a treasure here and no one even knows about it. So they're rehabilitating wine regions. And this first wine the only wine that we have for this WineCAST it comes from a region called Toro that's been making wine for 2,000 years. Okay, so this is not a new region by any means, but it hasn't been until the last, say, 25, 30 years that this region of Toro has really seen a renaissance of quality winemaking. So that's the first thing I see. So both these wines we're having today would fit into my definition of the new Spain. The other thing I'm seeing happening in Spain is this embracing of native grape varietals. So the one we had in WineCAST 11, the grape varietal is Mencía, however you want to say it. If you want to be madrileño, you say Mencía, right? But Mencía. And that is really only grown in Bierzo. Like I said, maybe a little in Portugal, maybe a little bit more in some northwestern parts of Spain, but it is unique to that region, and it's a great quality grape. And then here what we have is, it's actually a type of Tempranillo. So Tempranillo is can you type in Tempranillo so people can see it? I know that's a big word, so if you haven't seen it before, I want to make sure you know what it means, or what it looks like rather. But Tempranillo is the king grape of Spain. Now, this is interesting because this is Tempranillo, but it is what we call a clone of Tempranillo. So it's even more specific to the region. And the clone that they call in this wine is called Tinta del País. Can you write that one in? So Tinta del País, Tinta, means a dark grape, a red grape. So it's a red grape from Toro. Sorry, it's Tinta del Toro. You know why I said Tinta del País? Is because this grape, Tempranillo, has about like 100 synonyms, and Tinta del País is another one that they use as well. So, but Tinta del Toro is probably more correct. So what is a clone? Probably some of you are wondering. Clones, I'm not going to go way down that road because we'll never come back. But a clone is the same grape, but just a slightly different. Say maybe it's like a sister, or right? It's like for the grapes, it's bigger grapes or thicker skins, or one's like a dork and the other one's like a really cool rebel, right? Okay, bad analogy, but it's true. It's the same kind of family, but just slight differences, right? Some people would say we have more than slight differences, Karen and I, right? Okay, so back to work. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to look for, apart from these native grape varietals, then, is this New World packaging, and that's what we're seeing. I mean, you saw these labels. Oh, gotta get away. You've seen these labels. They are appealing to the New World, and that is what I think is what defines the new Spain. So enough talking. As you guys know, I prefer to learn about wine by actually drinking the wine. So let's dive in and learn about what New Spain is by drinking this wine. And the first thing we always start with is the color of the wine. So go ahead and take a look at this color. I don't know if people have this wine in hand, but take a look. It is deep purple. I mean, it is inky. And that color, what does that have to do with New Spain? Well, nothing really, except that this deep purple, this inky color, is very typical of Toro. It's a hallmark of a Toro wine. And so what I'm trying to prove with that is that the New Spain wines encourage these regional expressions. It embraces what is happening in each of the regions. So, and I really think this is one of Spain's strongest selling points, is that they have these regional expressions that you really, in a relatively small area, you find really unique regional expressions. Now, I think it also comes from the people who live there. If you ever go to visit, which you should in June of 2012, that you'll see that there's a very strong and proud, they're very strong and proud regional identities. And that really translates into their wine, which is really, I think, a special thing about Spanish wines. Now, why is this wine so purple? I mean, what makes it that purple? Well, Toro is located in the northwest of Spain, northwest of Spain, but more northwest of Madrid. Madrid is right in the center, and then just a little northwest of Madrid, you find Toro. And in this area, you have pronounced elevation. This comes as some surprise about Spain, is that Madrid is the highest capital in elevation of any European country. So Spain has a lot of elevation, and people don't think that because it's a large plateau. And Toro is located on this large plateau. And what that does is it creates this extreme seasonal climate, which we call continental. So everyone who's watching from Milwaukee or Chicago, you know what continental is. We live in continental. We live it here. And we have cold winters. We have hot summers. And as you guys have developed, you get thick skins when you have to live here, right? You got to really get tough to live in a continental climate. Well, the same thing has happened with this clone of Tempranillo. It's gotten tough. It's gotten tough and thick skins. And that's where we're getting this color. That's why we're getting this color from this wine, is that the Toro Tempranillo, so the Tinta del País, I keep wanting to say that, the Tinta del Toro has really thick skins, and that's what we're seeing in our glass. All right, moving on. Let's actually smell the wine, take a sip, see what you guys think. Remember, you can start simple, or you can get as detailed as you want about what you're smelling. And while you're doing that and smelling your wine, let me just give you the cliff notes on Spanish wine history. Okay, trust me, you're not going to fall asleep. 3,000 years ago, as you guys know, the wine arrives here in Spain. Oh, I wish we were here in Spain. Okay, all of a sudden I'm in Spain. 2,000 years ago, the Romans introduced viticulture. And then 300 years ago, you start to see the beginnings of importing ideas and techniques, specifically from France, that are going to make winemaking start the road towards modern winemaking for Spain. And then about 50 years ago, you saw things like stainless steel and other modern winemaking techniques coming into Spain. So that's like your quick cliff note, okay? But for me, I think that New Spain started around the 1990s. So we have about, 30, 40 years of this lag of nothing was happening, So what happened? What happened in the 90s or maybe earlier that caused this new movement of the types of Spanish wine? I'll put it to you guys. You guys tell me what you think. If you think something happened in Spain, you let me know. I'm going to tell you what I think in a little bit, but I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Before we do that, let's talk about what people are seeing on the nose. What are we seeing?
Well, we're kind of all over the board. People are saying fruit, spice, earth. We're also getting a couple comments about kind of an earthy barnyard smell to it.
Okay, yeah, definitely. So lots of earth but lots of everything. Yeah, on the nose, I get a lot of like black currant jam. I mean, it's really, and it's almost so black curranty, if that's a word, that it starts to go into this earthiness. Black currant kind of can smell a bit earthy if it gets really extreme. And so I like, black currant with like a little bit of scorched earth thrown in for good measure. I mean, I'm getting a lot of that earthy notes, and those are all very typical. What you guys mentioned, earthy, some barnyard, lots of spice, and dark fruit. Something else you might be smelling though too is alcohol. That is quite typical on a Toro, is to smell some alcohol. So the alcohol on this one, I believe, is like 14.5. So that's fairly high for a wine. I mean, we kind of get used to that in America, but it is that is high for a wine. So we've got black fruit, we've got earth, we've got definitely some spice, and alcohol on the nose. So let's go ahead and take a sip, or 10, right? That's, whatever floats your boat at this wine tasting. So take a sip, and I will tell you that it's a dry wine, but I want you guys to tell me what you think about body, acid, and tannin. And while you're trying to do that, I'm going to get back to our discussion on New Spain. So did anyone chime in about what they think might be the reason? No one. That's a tough question. I'm going to tell you what I think. Okay, I'm going to get a little deep here. Hopefully after 2 wine tastings, this is maybe not the right time to get a little, not deep, but I think it's really interesting. And we actually saw it firsthand I think what made a big difference was that Spain was under the rule of a dictator named Francisco Franco, from 1930s to 1978, which, by the way, everyone, remember 1978 because it's a very important year. Yours truly was born in 1978. Okay, back to business. Okay, so, but it was a really repressive regime, especially at the beginnings of the regime. But it, one of the goals was to create a national identity. Now, we've talked about this earlier in this tasting, that what the Spaniards do so well is, they're definitely proud to be Spanish, but we saw this. I mean, there is this really strong sense of regional identity. They have different languages, they have different cuisines. I mean, and the wines reflect that. So when you stamp that out, you're really missing a lot of potential innovation as well. Also, under Franco, he created a lot of co-ops. So this is a good word to learn if you don't know what it is, but a co-op, what it is, it's some degree of sharing of resources. So each co-op creates their own charter, if you will, but it's a sharing of resources so that it's cheaper to make wine. So you don't have to buy all of the resources yourself. Now, it can be a good thing because it allows more people to make wine. It makes it more affordable. But unfortunately, historically speaking, co-ops place more, but they don't intentionally do this, but by the nature of how they work, they place more emphasis on quantity than quality. So again, instead of working on quality wines, for so long we saw quantity was more important over quality. So there was very little incentive for innovation and for regional expression. With the repression of rights, with the repression of regionality, and then of also free market forces, the time under Franco really stalled the wine market. It stalled all parts of Spanish society in terms of creativity, but definitely we're just talking about the wine market. But once he died and a constitutional monarchy was put in place in 1978, the wheels started rolling again. And boy, did they spin. I mean, they actually spun out of control for the first decade. We were in there, first time I went was in 1995. And there's just an energy, there was just a buzz. I mean, people were just still, I think, coming off of that hangover of the 80s, which we heard was just this crazy, party. Think about, if you've been repressed for, what is it, 50 years or so, 40 years, when you get off of that repression, it's like, well, here we go, time to make up for lost time. And so some really amazing creativity emerged from that time of repression, and it emerged in the wake of this 80s hangover. And Karen, I mean, we saw the 80s influence. I mean, there were more mullets in Spain than a Bon Jovi concert. I mean, granted, the 80s were back in the style, but they loved their 80s. It was to the wall 80s in Spain. But a lot of really great innovation happened in the 80s and say in fields like art and cooking. I mean, for instance, Almodovar, he's coming out with a new movie. He's one of Spain's premier directors. He started in, I think, 1981, 82 or somewhere around there, right at the beginning of this. And he's got some amazing films, and it really reflects what was going on in Spain. He's got one coming up this year. I haven't seen the last two, I have to admit. So if you've seen it, I think The Skin I Live In. The Skin I Live In. If you've seen it, let us know. It's supposed to be good. I haven't seen it yet. I'm behind. I'm working too hard. Okay. So, and then with the cooking as well, you saw in northern Spain this emergence of amazing culinary arts that have led the world really for the last 20 years. I mean, and this all I think came out of this repressive time, and then boom, you just had this big explosion. And I'm telling you, the wine world was not an exception, but we didn't see it till the 1990s. And why? Well, with wine, it takes a long time. I mean, whether you're replanting vineyards or you're taking over a new vineyard, that takes at least 3 to 7 up to 10 years to really understand the fruit that's coming out, if you're even getting fruit at the beginning. So that takes a while, and then marketing it. And it was in the 1990s that we started to see what we call flying winemakers. So Spanish winemakers started going over to other parts of the world to make wine, and then they came back to Spain. And they brought with them this knowledge, this insight about winemaking. But then what's so beautiful is they applied their regional identities to this new knowledge. And that's what New Spain is all about, I think. It's just this regional identity. And it just makes Spain such a fun place to explore. Not only on foot, but through wine. Okay, I got a little carried away there. Sorry, guys. So I hope you all drank through that little lesson there. But that's my opinion on the new Spain. I'd love to hear what you guys are saying about we'll get back to business, about the acid, tannin, and body. What's going on over there, Karen? Anything?
Yeah, not saying much. We see wine hides alcohol well, and I think very spicy, and then drops to a smooth finish.
Great notes, guys. Yeah. What's great is that this wine does have high alcohol. Who mentioned that? That was a great comment. Christine, yeah, because it's got great, high alcohol, but it holds it. Remember, I think in one of our WineCasts we talked about some people can drink a bottle of wine and they hold their wine or their alcohol well. Others drink a bottle of wine and they're super clumsy. Well, this wine is holding its alcohol well. It can drink a bottle of wine and still walk straight. Okay, so yes, definitely, it's got balance. So high alcohol is not always bad as long as the wine can carry it. It's dry, full body, high alcohol. Tannins are not as high as you might expect it with this deep color. I got more of a medium tannin and a medium acid, maybe a little higher. With all that body, it probably has a little bit higher than you'd think acid because it needs to hold this wine so well. So were there, how am I doing on time? Right at 25 minutes. Were there any questions or anything that I didn't get to? Okay, good. Well, let's see, just to recap, I just want to let you guys know what I think in New Spain is the rehabilitation of wine regions in Spain, the rise and importance of native grape varietals, and then pair all that attachment to the old world with the new world packaging. So packaging in a way that the new world understands it, I think is really interesting. And again, if you want to see it, come along. We're going to have a great time in June. And next week, we're going to be comparing French labels. So sign in for that. And we roll out the Wine Guru level next week. So we're going to be raising the stakes next week. We'll see if you guys can hold on to this fun party. And we're going to have some fun with the Wine Guru as well. Now, I want to know what you guys think about the wine, and of course, your food and wine pairings are always much appreciated. After this, I go and raid my kitchen because I'm so hungry after hearing all these great wine pairings. So, what are people saying? What do you guys think about the wine? While we're doing that, Karen, what would you pair with this wine?
Well, I think it's interesting because it is a new world style, so I think it can pair with a lot of more international foods than just staying with typical Spanish foods. Someone did mention paella, I think definitely, but I think it also could go with maybe some Moroccan stews or maybe even Indian, something with a little bit of spice to it. So yeah, Moroccan stews and Indian stews. And now you're asking for trouble though with those, because the high alcohol and that spice, I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's gonna increase the flame, which I tell people that's great. It brings out more in the dish. It's just gonna elevate all that spice. So yeah, I'm with you. I like spicy food, so that sounds good to me. Anything else people are saying about stock it? Oh, you guys really like it. I like it. Yeah. Try it with chorizo, John. Fantastic. Yeah. Again, that spice, just like what Karen was saying, that spice in the chorizo, this wine is really gonna just light it up. And mussels. Well, mussels, perhaps I would say be careful with the mussels. It's probably more on how it's prepared. You might get a little bit of an irony taste or something from mussels, so just be careful with that. But I would say if you add, Karen makes an amazing mussels with chorizo. So combine those two, John, and I think you're going to have a home run there. So yeah, I'm with you guys. I really like this wine. It's I would definitely go out and buy it again. Let's see, just you guys, I love it when you guys talk to each other on the chat roll, but thank you guys so much. I just want to let you guys know, again, check out the blog where we're going to have wine tasting notes as well as the quiz. So take the quiz. I challenge you, take the quiz. Brian O'Keefe does a fantastic job coming up with some great questions, and we give out a free bottle of Vineyard Fresh for the top scorer. And if you didn't have the wine, go ahead and press the button under the screen that is our magic bottle button. I never can get that right. Bottle button, and it'll connect you to your local retailers or tell me who your local retailers are. We want to connect with them as well. So that's all for now. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us. I am Jessica Bell from My Wine School, where it's wine your way. Now go on, go taste the world.